You think you know what electricity is. You are certain you do. It powers the screen you are staring at right now. It lights the room round you. It cooks your food, cools your air, and charges the device in your hand. It is so familiar, so everyday, that its presence feels mundane, an accepted fact of modern life. But let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer it honestly, not with what you think you know, but with what you truly understand. What is it? When you plug a cord into the wall, what exactly is happening? Where does that power come from? What is flowing through those wires? If your answer is something like it's energy or it's moving electrons, then I have to tell you, you have not answered the question at all. You have simply renamed the mystery, sure. Electrons move. But why do they move? What pushes them, and why does that push, that invisible motion, create blinding light, intense heat, all-powerful turning force? The comfortable, simple explanations we were given hide a much deeper, much stranger truth. The thing we casually call electricity is not simple. It is not intuitive. It is, in fact, deeply and profoundly weird. It is a glimpse behind the curtain of reality itself, and once you see it, the world can never look the same again. Let me show you. Take a simple, clear piece of plastic wrap. Tear off a strip. Now, hold it between your hands and rub it back and forth, quickly, like you are trying to warm your hands. Do it for just a few seconds. Now, slowly bring that piece of plastic close to the hair on your forearm. Do not let it touch. Just bring it near. You will feel a faint, undeniable pull. You will see the tiny hairs on your skin rise up, reaching toward the plastic, stretching across empty space toward something that is not touching them. Stop and consider this. You took an inert piece of plastic. You rubbed it with your skin. No batteries, no wires, no plugs, no power plants, just friction. And now, that plastic can exert a force on your body from a distance. It can pull on you without touching you. How? In the world you experience every day, forces require contact. To push a chair, you touch it. To lift a book, you touch it. Action at a distance is the stuff of magic, of fantasy. Yet here it is, happening on your own arm. And what is the common, dismissive explanation? Static electricity. Just a little shock, a trivial curiosity. We learned about it in school and promptly forgot it. But you are not looking at a trivial curiosity. You are looking at one of the four fundamental forces of the universe. The electromagnetic force, the very force that holds every single atom in your body together. The force that makes chemistry possible. The force that allows your nerves to signal, your muscles to contract, your eyes to detect light. You are witnessing the foundational glue of the material world, demonstrating its ability to reach across the void and pull. And you call it a parlor trick. This is our problem. We have become so familiar with the effects that we have forgotten how utterly insane the cause is. Let us break down what actually happened. When you rubbed that plastic, you scraped away a tiny number of electrons from the atoms on your skin and deposited them onto the plastic. We are talking about a few trillion extra electrons, a seemingly insignificant number compared to the countless quintillions in the plastic itself. But here's the fact that will strain your intuition. Those extra electrons hate each other. They repel each other with a force so monstrously powerful that the human mind cannot genuinely comprehend its scale. Let me try to give you a sense of it. Take two electrons. Place them 1 centimeter apart. The electromagnetic repulsion between them is approximately 10 to the power of 42 times stronger than the gravitational attraction between them. That is the number 1 followed by 42 zeros. The electromagnetic force is so immeasurably, incomprehensibly stronger than gravity, that for particles like electrons, gravity does not exist. It is a non-factor, a faint background whisper, drowned out by a cosmic scream. For the building blocks of matter, electromagnetism is everything. This leads to a critical question. If this force is so unimaginably powerful, why does the universe not instantly tear itself apart? Why does matter hold together? Why do you not explode in a flash of repulsive energy? The answer is both elegant and almost magical. Cancellation, perfection. Look at an atom. At its heart, a nucleus of protons, each with a positive electric charge, swarming round it. Electrons, each with a negative electric charge. The universe obeys one simple rule. Like charges repel, opposite charges attract, and the forces are perfectly symmetrical. The push between two positives is exactly as strong as the pull between a positive and a negative. In normal, neutral matter, every positive charge is intimately surrounded by negative charges. Every negative charge is nestled among positives. The incredible repulsive forces are cancelled out perfectly by equally incredible attractive forces. The net effect from the outside is zero. Neutrality, calm. The storm is still raging, but the pushes and pulls are in such perfect balance that they produce stillness. But because the underlying forces are so tight, even the slightest imbalance creates an effect you can feel. When you rubbed that plastic, you moved maybe one electron in every 10 billion, an infinitesimal shift, but it was enough. Because when the forces at play can move mountains at the atomic scale, even a whisper of imbalance can move the hair on your arm. This changes everything about how you perceive the physical world. Pick up a coffee mug, feel its solidity, its weight in your hand. What are you actually feeling? You believe you are feeling the solid substance of the ceramic. You are wrong. What you are feeling is electromagnetic repulsion. The electrons in the atoms of your hand are approaching the electrons in the atoms of the mug. As they get very, very close, they begin to repel each other. That repulsion is what you register as solidity. Your hand never actually touches the mug, not in the way you think of touch. There is always a minuscule gap, a space where the clouds of electrons surrounding the atoms push against each other with immense force. You are feeling a field. You are feeling action at a distance, at a scale so small your brain interprets it as contact. Every force you have ever felt, the push of a door, the grip of a handshake. The pressure of the ground beneath your feet is electromagnetic in origin. You have never truly touched anything in your life. Every sensation of contact is the sensation of electrons repelling electrons across empty space. It is the same force that made the plastic pull your arm hair, just operating at a different distance where the balance is different and the net effect is push, not pull. Now, consider the wire. A simple copper wire runs through the wall of your house at one end, a switch at the other. A light bulb. You flip the switch. The bulb lights up, seemingly instantly. The common explanation is that electricity flows like water. Electrons pour in from the power plant, race through the wire, and pour out into the bulb. That mental model is not just incomplete, it is fundamentally wrong. The individual electrons in a copper wire move with agonizing slowness. Their drift speed is about 1 millimeter per second. At that pace, it would take an electron over half an hour to travel from the outlet to a lamp across the room. But the light turns on in a fraction of a second. So what is happening? The secret is that the wire is already full of electrons. Copper is a sea of mobile electrons, free to move. When you close the switch, you apply a voltage, a kind of electromagnetic pressure difference. This pressure pushes on the electrons at one end of the wire. But electrons repel each other, so when the first electron is pushed, It immediately pushes the electron next to it through that repulsive force that electron pushes. The next and so on. Imagine a line of dominoes standing upright, already touching. You push the first domino. It does not have to travel to the end to make the last domino fall. It simply nudges the one next to it, and the nut propagates instantly. Down the line, the dominoes barely move sideways, but the wave of falling motion travels quickly. In a wire, the nudge is an electromagnetic push. It travels as a wave through the sea of electrons, asterisk this wave. This signal propagates at a significant fraction of the speed of light. The electrons themselves drift slowly, but the instruction to start moving arrives almost instantly. The useful work is done not by electrons traveling great distances, but by the wave of their collective motion, asterisk. But where does that initial push originate? Let us trace it back. Your lamp connects to an outlet. The outlet connects to wires in your wall. Those wires join larger cables, which run to poles outside, becoming power lines that stretch across the landscape. They go on for miles, tens of miles, sometimes hundreds of miles, until they reach a power plant. Inside that plant, something massive is spinning, a turbine, weighing hundreds of tons, rotating at high speed, driven by steam or falling water or wind. This spinning motion, happening perhaps 100 miles away, is the primary cause of your light turning on. How can this be? The link between that spinning metal and the glow in your room is not a mechanical link. It is magnetism. This is the crucial, mind-bending unity. Electricity and magnetism are not two separate things. They are two inseparable facets of a single, unified phenomenon. Electromagnetism. A moving electric charge creates a magnetic field. A changing magnetic field creates an electric current. They are two sides of the same coin. This is how a generator works. You take coils of copper wire and you spin them inside a powerful magnetic field. The magnetic field does not like this motion. It resists, asterisk in resisting. It pushes on the free electrons in the copper, forcing them to move. You have converted mechanical motion into a flow of electrons. You have generated electricity. Now, run the process in reverse. Send a flow of electrons through a coil of wire sitting inside a magnetic field. The magnetic field pushes on the moving electrons in the wire. This push acts on the wire itself, causing it to move. You have converted the flow of electrons into mechanical motion. You have built a motor, generator, motion to electricity, motor, electricity to motion, the same principle, simply inverted. Asterisk, consider the implications of this. You can move a piece of metal in one location, and because of this phenomenon, another piece of metal moves in a completely different location, with nothing physically connecting them but slender threads of copper. You are telling metal to move by moving other metal somewhere else, mediated by an invisible field. This should seem impossible, asterisk, yet it is the basis for our entire technological civilization. Every power grid on Earth operates on this principle. Water cascades down a dam in the mountains. It spins a turbine. The turbine spins copper coils within the magnetic field. Electrons are forced to move. That push, that electromagnetic wave, travels hundreds of miles through cables at nearly the speed of light. It enters your home, flows into the motor of your refrigerator, and pushes on the electrons in that motor's coils, making the compressor turn. Water falling on one side of a state makes a motor spin in your kitchen. That is not just engineering. That is harnessing a fundamental law of the universe to perform telekinesis on a grand scale. Asterisk, you do not even need a permanent magnet. Take a coil of wire, run a changing electric current through it. The moving electrons create a magnetic field around the coil. Now, place a second coil of wire nearby. Do not connect them. Just bring them close. As the magnetic field from the first coil grows and collapses with the changing current, it pushes on the electrons in the second coil, causing a current to flow in it as well. Energy has been transferred across empty space. This is a transformer. This is how we change voltages to send power efficiently over long distances, and then step it down safely for your home. It is just coils of copper talking to each other through the emptiness between them, using the language of changing magnetic fields. Now we arrive at the deepest perspective shift earlier. I said all forces you feel are electromagnetic, pushing, pulling, pressure, tension. But think further. What does that mean? It means the so-called mechanical world, the world of gears and levers and solid objects, is not fundamental. It is an emergent property. It is a consequence, a macroscopic shadow of the electromagnetic force. The electromagnetic force is the fundamental reality. Everything else is built upon it. The hardness of steel, the fluidity of water, the elasticity of rubber are determined by how electromagnetic forces range and bind atoms and molecules. When light enters your eye, it is an oscillating electromagnetic wave causing electrons in your retinal cells to vibrate, triggering chemical reactions. Those chemical reactions are just rearrangements of atoms governed by electromagnetic forces. The signals traveling along your nerves are pulses of electrically charged ions moving across cell membranes. Your thoughts, right now, are an electrochemical storm, an electromagnetic process. Biology is applied chemistry. Chemistry is applied atomic physics. Atomic physics is the study of electromagnetic interactions between electrons and nuclei. Your entire experience of reality, from the feel of a breeze to the sight of a sunset to the very process of understanding these words, is an electromagnetic phenomenon. And here is the final humbling truth. You cannot explain the electromagnetic force in terms of something simpler. You cannot say it is like a spring, because springs are made of atoms held together by electromagnetic forces. You cannot say it is like a rope, because ropes are woven from fibers whose strength comes from electromagnetic bonds. Electromagnetism is a fundamental pillar of reality. It is a brute fact. We can describe it with exquisite mathematical precision. We can predict its behavior perfectly. But we cannot say why it exists or why it has the strength it does. We can only accept that this is how the universe is built. And this force acts at a distance. It violates our primal, evolved intuition, that things only interact when they touch. We had to rebuild our intuition to understand it. We had to accept that space is not empty but filled with fields, invisible scaffolds of potential influence, and that particles are knots of excitation in those fields. So, let us recount the true story of flipping a light switch. Your finger moves, completing a circuit. Throughout the vast, interconnected network of wires, electrons begin a slow, collective drift. Hundreds of miles away, at a generating station, a massive turbine spins. Magnets sweep past colossal coils of copper. The changing magnetic field exerts a force on the electrons in those coils. Those electrons are pushed. They immediately push on their neighbors through electromagnetic repulsion. A wave of this pushing propagates outward from the generator, racing along transmission lines at a substantial fraction of light speed, in a few thousandths of a second. This wave reaches the wiring in your home. It enters the light bulb. It forces electrons to try to flow through the thin, resistant filament of tungsten. The filament fights the flow. It has high resistance. It is hard for electrons to pass through. This struggle converts the energy of their ordered motion into chaos, into heat. The filament heats up violently, 2000 degrees Celsius. It becomes so hot that it does not just get red. It incandesces, emitting a broad spectrum of electromagnetic radiation. including visible light, asterisk photons, particles of light, which are self-propagating waves in the electromagnetic field, radiate outward. Some of these photons cross the room and into your eye. They strike molecules in your retina. They're oscillating electric fields pushing and playing on electrons, triggering a cascade of chemical and electrical signals. These signals travel up your optic nerve as patterned pulses of voltage themselves. Electromagnetic phenomena. Your brain, an electrochemical network, interprets these patterns, and you see light, asterisk every single step. From the falling water to the spinning turbine to the traveling wave to the glowing metal to the firing neuron is an electromagnetic process. We have discovered how to chain these processes together into a reliable, controllable sequence. We have built a civilization on this chain. Electricity gave us the power to separate energy from its source, to send power and information across continents in an instant, to create artificial day in the depth of night, to build machines that think, and to connect humanity into a single, buzzing network. It is the lifeblood of the modern world. But it is not just a utility. It is a revelation. Asterisk electricity is proof that the world is not what it seems, the solid, mechanical, contact-driven world of our senses is an illusion, a useful interface, constructed by our brains. The real world is a seething ocean of fields and forces, where particles dance to the tune of attraction and repulsion across vast stretches of nothingness. When you understand electricity at this level, you are not just understanding a technology. You are understanding a fundamental stratum of existence. You are seeing the hidden gears of reality. So the next time you flip a switch, do not just see a light turning on. See the waterfall powering the distant generator. See the spinning magnet. See the wave of pushing electrons racing to your command. See the furious resistance in a wire creating light. See the photons crossing the void to enter your eye. See the electrochemical miracle of your own perception. You are not just turning on a lamp. You are conducting a symphony of fundamental forces. You are manipulating the fabric of the universe to serve a human purpose, and that act, that profound and ongoing act, is one of the greatest testaments to human curiosity and understanding in the history of our species. That is what electricity is, a window into the true nature of things. And our fearless reach through that window to shape a world